Hello, everybody. My name is Samuel Higgs. I am the sports editor for the Alexander City Outlook, and I'm not alone this time.
I know, I'm back.
I know.
I'm so happy to be back, but blame Benjamin Russell because they've been on the road so much, so we've been traveling with them. So it's taken me away from the show.
That's what I'm saying. So we had like just such a weird like set of games where everybody was just spread out all over the place, and so like we really couldn't even figure out how to get all of us together, or at least get two of us to sit down for a show.
Minutes, yeah.
But one thing I want to hit before we talk about just all the games that we have, can we talk about the weather real quick?
Yeah, it's finally football weather. I'm finally out here in a sweatshirt, repping my VCU gear. I love it, and I'm loving the weather.
Oh, dude, I've been wearing jackets the past few games in the hopes that it gets cold. It doesn't. I end up getting really sweaty, and I can't take it off. But now it's football weather. It's perfect. Arguably could have worn sweatpants today, but I didn't. But either way, we have an absolute onslaught of games that we got going on today. But before we get into it, hopefully the drum isn't too loud. I want to send a thanks to Dunning Roofing for being a sponsor of Inside the Lines Live. If you guys have experienced any damage from Hurricane Helene or even the microburst that went through Alex City not too long ago, make sure you hit them up. They should be able to help you out. But I think, before we start talking about all the other games that we got going on, we kind of have to tell people where we are right now.
Yeah, we're at Dadeville. Dadeville coming off their first win of the season last week. Big win for the Tigers against a team that they weren't supposed to beat. I mean, all things considered, Lee Scott Academy has always been, they made the move up to AHSA. They were an AISA team for the longest time, but they made the move up, and they're a challenging opponent, and Dadeville's defense just sort of went off, held them to a really low 10 points, and won 13-10.
I was about to say, that's one of the things that really surprised me about last week's matchup is, heading into the game, Lee Scott Academy was averaging nearly, if not just a little bit over 30 points a game.
Right.
They were beating teams by one or two scores every single game. But then Dadeville's defense, a team that has, honestly, they've struggled defensively. They came out and just shut down what Lee Scott was doing.
Right.
And, they're in for another test tonight. Glenwood is a very talented team. They're undefeated right now. And from what I've been able to gather just going through, some of their stats right now, the person that, if I'm Dadeville, that I need to keep an eye out for is a running back by the name Jermaine Brown. Jermaine Brown this year is averaging almost 200 total yards a game. He's averaging 150 on the ground, and then plus, what he's doing in the receiving game. But it's going to be an extremely tough test for Dadeville to continue that success 2 weeks in a row, especially against a guy of Jermaine Brown's caliber. He is an extremely talented running back.
Right, but I think one of the benefits of having, one big weapon is you have one kind of guy that you can key in on. And I think Dadeville obviously has been watching film and will be keying in on Mr. Brown. So I think that it's one of those things where if they can effectively stop him, what can Glenwood do to answer that call? Glenwood also is similar to Lee Scott in that they recently made the move up from AISA. They're a private school. So they have still not totally gotten the feel of the AHSA, and the football caliber is usually better in general.
No, I gotcha. But another thing I want to talk about as far as Dadeville goes is, early in the season, quarterback was Cam Hurd. Then there were times that we saw Davis McKelvey go under center. And those were the two guys that Dadeville primarily ran their offense through. Cam Hurd provided his rushing talents, and him and Brandes Eason took over in the backfield. But recently they made the switch to put Jay Burns back at quarterback. And just talking to Chad McKelvey, he knows how important of an athlete Jay Burns is. On both sides of the ball. We know Jay Burns is already a talented defender, and they want to make sure that they get the ball to him on offense. And it seems like with the move to put him at quarterback, that's making sure that their best player has the ball in his hands at all times. Last week he had almost 70% completion rating, passed for over 100 yards, added another 50 yards on the ground and a touchdown. So, it's kind of interesting to see how that offense is going to kind of change with Jay Burns under center. I mean,
Right.
I also looking at the stats from last week, it looked like Cam Hurd was getting involved in the rushing and receiving game, and then Brandes Eason had probably his best game of the season so far, going for 134 yards and a touchdown.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just the offense. I'm really interested to see exactly what they can do this week.
Well, and I think one of the things that does that opens things up a little bit for Dadeville with Jay Burns at quarterback is that you are putting your most athletic person at the driver's seat, and so he has the option to run the ball if he wants to. He has a good arm where he can throw the ball as well. It just kind of makes you a little bit more of a two-headed monster, and I think Dadeville wanted that from the beginning of the year and weren't really able to find that through the air threat. And so now that they kind of have that, I think we'll start to see things open up a little bit more for Dadeville's offense.
Absolutely. And that's another thing that whenever I talked to Coach McKelvey at the beginning of the week, he said that he thinks his passing game has taken a step up than what it has been, you know, through the first course of the season. But, I mean, again, Glenwood is not going to make things easy for them. So I'm very interested to see exactly what their plan of attack is. I mean, we've already mentioned it as far as Brandes Eason, Jay Burns, and Cam Hurd goes. Like, they know how to run the ball effectively, but if Glenwood shuts down your rushing attack, you're going to have to rely on your passing game. And I'm just really interested to see what Dadeville wants to come out with to start on offense, and you know what in-game adjustments that they can make to ultimately put some points up on the board, because that's another thing that they've been struggling with is just, you know, not putting up points on the board.
Finishing drives.
Yeah, and so if your defense plays as good as they did last week, I mean, the offense has to match that caliber, and I'm interested to see if the offense can match that caliber. You know, tonight I think it's going to be an interesting game for them, to say the least. But yeah, Glenwood's really not going to make it easy for them.
Yeah, and I think that size is also going to come into play in this game. Obviously, I don't know if you guys can see behind us, but we got the offensive line, offensive and defensive line guys behind us, and they definitely have some sizable guys to them. So I think Dadeville will definitely have their hands full in the trenches. But again, if they can kind of combat that early. I think this is one of those games where it's like you can't let it get out of hand early, especially with Glenwood, a 6-0 team, scores a lot of points. You just can't let them put up 2 or 3 scores, and then you're working from behind the rest of the night.
No, absolutely. And another thing that I really just want to see how impactful it is what does the confidence of finally getting, what's the straw that broke the camel's, what's the, I don't know how I'm
getting that monkey off your back.
Getting that, that's what
win.
it is. Yeah.
And that's so key, especially at this time of the season when it feels like you're 0-5. It feels like it's almost time to throw in the towel. But now suddenly you're 1-5. You know what I mean? And it's just a different feel to the season for sure.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that confidence is going to come into this game, or if Dadeville is going to be complacent with the fact that they're not going to finish the season without a win. I'm interested to see how the players respond after getting that monkey off their back, because I mean, it's not, anything could happen, but I mean, it's just going to be, it's going to be interesting to see how they come out and what they're going to try to do, especially, you know, getting that first game of the season. But yeah, it's going to.
And I mean, if they win tonight, they have a chance to make the playoffs. So
Yeah,
let's not forget, the season is not over. They've got BB Comer ahead of them, which is a very, very strong team. They've got Childersburg, which is should be a good game. But I mean, you come out and you've got to win in the region now, which makes a huge difference when it comes down the stretch like this.
No, absolutely. I mean, you have to realize how impactful these region wins are, and they got, not only did they get their first win of the season, but they got it against a region opponent. So I mean, you know, these region games are extremely important, and it's just, I don't know what to expect from this game. I really don't. This is like the first time that I've, you know, actually got to see Dadeville play in person, and you know, I'm excited.
It'll be a good one.
Oh, fingers crossed. I need a good game.
Yeah.
I think everybody needs a good game this week. But before we get into some of the other games, we're going to go to a quick ad break real quick. But again, I want to say thank you to Dunning Roofing for being a sponsor of Inside the Lines Live. Again, if you have any needs roofing-wise, make sure you get in touch with them and see what they can do to help you guys out. But we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Hi, my name is Andrew McGreer. I'm the owner of Dunning Roofing. We serve an area from Birmingham to Montgomery to Auburn to Opelika and all the surrounding Lake Martin area. Well, we've been in business for 25 years almost, and we've been growing every year since then. Recently, we won an award by GAF, who's the largest manufacturer of shingles in the world. And we've achieved a Master Elite status. That Master Elite status is critical, not only for us as a company. Only 2% of roofers worldwide ever achieve this designation. We got it because we're exceptional. We look forward to helping you.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
And we are back with Inside the Lines. I am Samuel Higgs, joined by a co-host. That's the one thing that I'm just so thankful for.
I don't think you even introduced me though.
Well, I think everybody knows who you are because you're infamous with the Alex C.
Infamous, thanks.
What, is infamous bad?
Yes.
Oh, famous.
Famous would be better. Thanks.
Infamous.
Infamous to some people, I'm sure, though, at this point.
But
I've got my haters. I'm okay with it.
But I think everybody knows you.
Yeah, I'm Lucy
Either-
Arbogast.
I was just about to say, I was like, if you weren't going to do it, then I'm going to do it.
Managing editor of Cowboys Publishers, co-host of Inside the Lines Live, sometimes.
So, sometimes.
Only sometimes.
Emphasis on the sometimes. You know, you got me doing
Yeah.
it out by myself. I feel
Sam's
like
doing great, though. He's got, he's killing it.
I feel like people are mildly annoyed with my voice, but you know, that's besides the point.
Touche.
Either way.
We are surrounded by football players right now. We're here at Dadeville, getting ready for the Glenwood Dadeville games. If you see some football players come close, that's the Glenwood. What are they? The Warriors?
That's a great question.
We don't know. They're the somebody. We'll find out and we'll report back. Anyway, now that we've kind of dug into the Glenwood Dadeville game, we're going to head over to Elmer County, where our game of the week is Wetumpka hosting Percy Julian.
It was actually Stanhope's game.
Oh,
but
Stanhope's game.
but I
Also
feel-
a great game. We'll talk about that one too.
But I feel like we need to talk about the Wetumpka team right now.
We'll talk about Wetumpka now.
Yeah, I think that's pretty important. But Wetumpka had, you know, before they were, I wouldn't say struggling would be a bad word to describe, you know, essentially what Wetumpka was going through. But I believe at the time they were 1-3, and you know, it just things weren't clicking for Wetumpka. But
And they had lost a couple of games very close. One-score games, one-point games.
Yes, and so like that's one of the things that like I think struggling would be the wrong word to use as far as, you know, what was happening with Wetumpka. But I mean, let's look at, you know, their past two games. They beat Rehoboth at home. They beat Eufaula at home, and they were able to go into the bye week with some momentum. And I think that is extremely important for a team that, you know, was 1-3 at one point. Now they're 3-3. They're coming off the bye with some more juice to them. And not only do they have that juice, but they have a home game. It's not like they're coming out of the bye week and going straight on the road to face Percy Julian. They have another home game. So
now this is that chunk of their schedule where they're at home a lot, though. So they're at home for the month, basically. They're at home 4 weeks in a row, split by a bye week, and then they head to Stanhope, I believe.
Yes, at Stanhope, and then they end the season on the road with.
Right. So this is their chunk where it's like you really got to come away with 3 wins.
Yeah.
In a 4-game homestand, I think. At least.
Yeah.
And where those wins come, obviously you'd like 4 wins, but I think when you have that kind of chunk of a homestand, especially against all region opponents except for Eufaula, it wasn't expected to be a homestand, I should say.
Oh,
because
yes.
Eufaula got moved.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, but the fact that they've got kind of this home slice, they really need to take advantage of that, give their fans something to cheer about, and find their identity a little bit more. I still think they're struggling to find that go-to player that's always going to get the ball, the Jay Burns, you know what I mean, those kind of people.
I think if we were to place our finger on somebody that would be their standout player for Wetumpka, I think it would have to be Jimmy King. Jimmy King has been, at least from what we've been able to notice, the juice within that offense. I mean, right now, looking at his stats, he has 118 yards per game and 4 touchdowns. Like, he's the guy that's getting the most touches on this team. So, I mean, if we were to put our finger on somebody and be like, okay, this is the heart and soul of, Wetumpka, it would be Jimmy King. But, I mean, like you said, I mean, I think last game against Eufaula, it was like the first time was one of his lowest totals of the season, besides one of the earlier games of the season. But I mean, they still came out with a win. But I mean, you just want to see that guy, make use of his touches. I would imagine that they didn't shorten his load as far as the touches go. But you want to see your player, pop off a big one, be a consistent guy that especially at the running back position, will consistently eat up 5-6 yard runs, just to make sure that the down and distance isn't going against them offensively. But yeah, I think Jimmy King is probably, if we had to.
And I think Wetumpka's relying a lot on his defense. I mean, they played great defense throughout the season. They haven't given up more than 4 scores at all this year. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, just looking
Maybe
through.
Russell County.
I'm just saying, like, looking through, their defense, all their games besides Rehoboth, which their offense put up 34 points, everything has been pretty low scoring. I mean, they allowed 14 points to Beauregard. They allowed 15 points to Chelsea, 21 to Russell County, 17 to Pike
They've
Road.
never given up more than 21, though.
Yeah,
That's really impressive for a defense 7 weeks into the season.
I was about to say, and I mean, we can take a look at, as far as, their defensive standouts have been. Let me pull up the stats real quick. I mean, look, they have 23 sacks on the season. Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, their leading sack guy right now is Ethan Bailey, and Ethan Bailey has 8 sacks on the season for Wetumpka. I mean, just looking at their defense, 23 sacks. That seems to be, maybe if we had to put our finger on a player that's essentially the identity of, but we could argue to say Ethan Bailey is probably that guy. But yeah, no, Wetumpka's defense has played phenomenal this year. It's just, we got to see that offense. Again, like what I said with the Dadeville thing, if Dadeville's defense plays as good, their offense needs to match that caliber. If Wetumpka's defense is playing this good right now, they need their offense to also match how well their defense is playing. I mean, the one-scored game kind of aspect of this team is kind of scary. It makes for a fun game to watch, but I mean,
for the team, not so much.
Yeah, for the team, not so much. You want to make sure that you are able to win some of these games by multiple scores, and they did that against Rehoboth. I'm just trying to see if they can do this against Percy Julian tonight.
Right. I think this will be a really good matchup.
I think so.
It'll also determine a lot in the region, so we'll definitely have our eye on that one.
I mean, you also got to think both teams head into this matchup at 3-3. The only thing that's necessarily different is Percy Julian is 2-2 in the region, and Wetumpka is 1-2 in the region.
Right. That's why I say it has a lot of playoff implications for Wetumpka, especially.
But yeah, I think this is going to be a fun one. I'm excited to see what the final score of this one is, especially, it's a region game. I think everybody's facing off against a region opponent.
Yeah, it's region week.
Yeah, so I mean, you got to get these wins over these region opponents. But I think we're going to go into another commercial break. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you to Dunning Roofing for being a sponsor of Inside the Lines. If you have any roofing needs caused by the hurricane, the microburst, or anything like that, make sure you get in touch with them and they should be able to help you with all your needs. Other than that, we'll be right back from this commercial break.
Hi, my name is Andrew McGreer. I'm the owner of Dunning Roofing. We serve an area from Birmingham to Montgomery to Auburn to Opelika and all the surrounding Lake Martin area. Well, we've been in business for 25 years almost, and we've been growing every year since then. Recently, we won an award by GAF, who's the largest manufacturer of shingles in the world, and we've achieved a Master Elite status. That Master Elite status is critical, not only for us as a company. Only 2% of roofers worldwide ever achieve this designation. We got it because we're exceptional. We look forward to helping you.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here.
Wait. What?
I can't drive.
What? My. Oh.
Welcome back to Inside the Lines. Lizzie got very upset that I didn't sign her off last time, so I want to make sure that she's the first person introduced this
No,
time.
I was supposed to leave early. I was supposed to leave 10 minutes early because I had to get to another game. But Sam didn't say bye, and I didn't want to leave you guys hanging, so here I am for another 10 minutes.
Well, I think,
You got me till the very end.
Well, everybody appreciates your voice when it comes to high school football. I mean,
Well, I appreciate that.
I'm still the new guy here. They look at me like I'm just fresh meat. They don't know. They really don't know if I know what I'm talking about. I like to think I do.
Yeah,
but,
you do.
But no, they like you a lot better than they probably like me. They probably
Wow.
enjoy your solo Inside the Lines over me. But no?
I'd never do this Inside the Line solo.
But either way, I'm Samuel Higgs, sports editor. This is Lizzie, managing editor of Alexander City Outlook.
He wasn't even going to try to say my last name.
Arbogast.
Not even close. Arbogast. Gwyn.
Dang, I almost had it.
Anyway.
I almost had it.
Now we're going to talk about Stanhope Pike Road, our game of the week in Elmore County.
Yeah.
Stanhope Elmore is missing a couple players, but they're going against Pike Road, who Pike Road has this like deceivingly strong record. They're 4-3, but they've only lost to Opelika, Enterprise, and Prattville, who are all 7 except Opelika, but basically.
Yeah.
2 7A teams and Opelika, who's
Mm.
Opelika.
Yeah.
But in the region, they're 4-0. However, they had a very close win over Wetumpka. They had a very close win over Percy Julian. So I think that this is a game that if Stanhope Elmore can play up and play well, they can come out with a victory, which would be huge for them.
Absolutely. And I mean, especially when you're without some key players on both sides of the ball, you're going to have to lean on somebody who has been able to get it done week in and week out, and that's Arthur McQueen.
Right.
Arthur McQueen is absolutely electric.
We've been talking about heart and soul of teams, and I think they found theirs early and often.
I was about to say, I'm pretty confident the dude is like averaging 230, 240 rushing yards a game. Like,
he leads the state, we believe, he leads the state in Class 6A in rushing yards. And is eighth overall, first in 6A, I should say.
And so, I mean, even without some key players on both sides of the ball, I expect almost everything to go through Arthur McQueen. And I mean, there's also, there's other players on Stanhope that will be able to get it done. So it's not like this is going to be just purely every single play handed off to Arthur McQueen. I mean, it's going to be a tough game, but I think if they get Arthur McQueen going, I think if they are able to keep it competitive early, it's going to make for a good game. But we still got some other games going on. We have Reeltown taking on Lafayette.
Yes.
That's going to be a fun one. Another region game.
I believe if Reeltown wins, they will clinch a playoffs home game.
Okay.
So that has implications there, which they should win.
I was about
they should have no problems. Big night for Reeltown, though, because Melody Jackson, who passed away last year after a battle with cancer, she was a student at Reeltown High School. Her Make-A-Wish for Make-A-Wish Foundation was to have Reeltown's band get new uniforms, and her wish will be granted tonight. And so we'll get to reveal those at halftime. So I'm very excited to see that, and we all loved Melody, so we're very excited to see that come to fruition.
I was about to say, seeing it on Facebook, everybody is just like, if you're going to show up for anything, show up for that halftime.
For that,
Yeah, just so you could see that. But yeah, I mean, Reeltown's been on a tear. If we're going to, they've pitched, I think, 3 shutouts this year against Horseshoe Bend, Ranburn, and then last week against Lynette. And I mean, their defense, as far as like what it compared to the rest of the state, I believe they're top 10 in points allowed. I think they might allow 7 points a game. But you also got to think, like, take away that first game of the season against TR Miller, it's probably gonna look like Reeltown is averaging 2-3 points a game on defense. So I expect their defenders to show up. Baylor Clayton is a dog. He's like, I think he's the top in 2A right now, and he's top 10 in the state in sack numbers. I believe he has 9 on the season. I wouldn't be surprised if he crosses into that double-digit mark tonight. But he is an absolute dog on the defensive side of the ball. And then obviously we know who Tay Martin is. Tay Martin's going to make his impact on the defensive side of the ball. He's also going to make his impact on the offensive side of the ball. I think the dude has 900 total yards throughout the season. So, I mean, that's going to be a fun one. But I
think another fun one will be Tallahassee at Hanley.
I was just about to say.
Tallahassee is, moving its way up this season. Under a new coach, they struggled last year. They're under a new coach this year. They had some issues with players who weren't able to play anymore. And so I think they are one that is finally finding who it is and what its strengths are. And I think this Hanley game will be a really good region game to see how they're going to match up the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, they've already tripled their win total from last year. Last year they won 1 game, and they're already in a position where they're, I believe, 3-2 on the season right now, which immediate turnaround. They've been able to go through Jordan King, their wide receiver. It seemed whenever I went to Tallahassee's game a few weeks ago, that was the guy that they wanted the ball in his hands. Whether that was end around, screens, targeting him down the field. Heck, I think he even took just a 5-yard slant route 50 yards down the field. So, I mean, as long as he gets the ball in his hand, I think Trent Morris is going to make sure that if he is to get the ball in anybody's hands, it's going to be him, and then Tiny Green at running back. Offensively, they're playing great. Defensively, they've played very good. I still think about they were down 18-0 whenever I went and watched them, and then they came back and won 21-18. So
you never know.
They have some fight in them, and I know that they're going to make sure that this game against Hanley is not going to get too one-sided one way or the other. So I'm interested to see how that game goes as well, because if they go 4-2, I'll admit it. That would have shocked me.
Yeah,
I
I think they've got a very good chance.
Absolutely. But some of the other games we got going on tonight are Elmore County at Valley. They've lost the past 2 weeks, and I expect that Coach Caldwell is going to want to switch things
I
up.
think that will change.
Then we have Horseshoe Bend at Lochapoka, another region matchup. That's going to be an interesting
Huge
one.
game.
Lochapoka just won their game against Central Coosa, and Horseshoe Bend won big time over Ranburn. Interested to see how that one goes.
Horseshoe Bend can make the playoffs, y'all.
They've
They're
got-
gonna make the playoffs. You heard it here first.
Stamp of approval from
Stamp of
Stamp of
approval.
approval. But then we also got Lynette at Central Coosa homecoming tonight. That's just
That's always a big fun game, though.
I think homecoming's going to be a
Yeah.
great environment. I know that they've already
Homecoming's
got
fun.
a bunch of people coming in to watch the game.
And Coosa County has Alumni Day tomorrow, if you're interested. So come out. I think it's from like 1 to 7 or so, all day long. So
all
come
day
on
long.
out.
And then we got Edgewood Academy at Banks Academy. Another interesting matchup, and Southern Prep's going against North River Christian. Southern Prep just got their second win of the
Mm-hmm.
season last year, and they're going against an 0-7 North River Christian that allows 60-something points a game.
Yeah.
So,
Hopefully it'll be a good one for Southern.
hopefully we see them put up 60 points tonight, because that'd be great for their momentum. I know
They need
talking
some momentum.
talking to Coach Bell, he said, "Watch, we're going to finish 6-5 after starting 1-5." So
There you go.
I'll hold them to it.
I like these big predictions,
That's what I'm
y'all.
holding it to. I'm holding Roland Bell
Stamp
to
of
it.
approval, for
But
sure.
to end it off, we're going to do a score prediction for the game tonight.
Yeah, let's do it.
Glenwood, Dadeville, that's where we are right now. We got, 33, a little over 33 minutes until kickoff. So if you're planning on showing up to this game, show up to it. Get here now. Parking is pretty scarce at the moment, so I would get here now while you can. But if I had to do my score prediction right now, I would venture off to say that Glenwood is most likely going to come home with the win. I think it's going to be one of those games where Glenwood gets out early, and it's just going to be Dadeville trying to fight their way back into it. So I'd have to go with 35-14 if I had to throw a score prediction out.
Okay, I also think the same. I think that Glenwood will unfortunately score probably 2 or 3 touchdowns in the first quarter, and I have 24-40 Glenwood victory.
Okay. Well,
We'll see.
We'll see. Hopefully,
rooting for the Dadeville
Hopefully, we're
Tigers.
both wrong.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully, we're both wrong.
We shouldn't say that. We're unbiased journalists.
No bias here. But either way, thank you for joining us for Inside the Lines Live.
Thank you for Dunning Roofing. We appreciate your support of high school athletics and of Southeast Publishers.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys show up to all those games tonight. We got a pretty good slate for us. But other than that, I've been Samuel Higgs. I'm going to let you say your name because I get it
I'm
wrong.
Lizzie Arbagascoin.
Thank you so much, everybody.